welcome to the Winner's Journey podcast, where you come for a double shot of inspiration. Buckle up today because you are going to have not just inspiration, you're going to be inspired to love. I'm your host, Viviana Puello, the unstoppable manifester, CEO, and founder of Art Tour International Magazine, the leading art platform helping art entrepreneurs make a living doing what they love and thrive doing it. Today, I'm super excited and feeling the love because today's guest is a love expert. And so today's show is going to be all about love, and I really mean it. Love Coach Macy Mattarazo, founder of Big Happy Love. And I'm going to read a little bit of intro here, Macy, because there's so much about you. So you dedicate your life and career to helping smart, single, spiritually conscious women who want real, lasting, committed love, find it without sacrificing who they are, and have fun by doing it. So welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. I love this podcast theme.
Yes. And oh my goodness, where do we start? It's like magic. When we say love, it's like magic. And I remember the first time we were in a group, and I remember vividly we were introduced to different people, and then they said the love expert, and it was like, oh, really? So how do you become the love expert? Let's start there.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, I never thought that I would be doing this work until I had my own journey. And for me, as a child of the 70s, growing up, listening to fairy tales, and also being a time of, women can have it all and you can do everything and you don't need a man. There was kind of a mixed message for me. And I really chose I want to be the successful woman, which led me to climbing the corporate ladder and spending decades really focused on career and money. And then as a result, waking up in the middle of my 40s, still single and really wanting that. I mean, all along, I really wanted that more than anything. And what I know now is that that's real. It's what makes life most fulfilling is to have that meaningful, connected, loving relationship. That's just how we're wired as humans. So when I, woke up in that moment and decided, okay, I have the success, I have, I had 2 homes at that time. I had a really great life. I am going to figure this out. And on that journey itself, there were a lot of challenges. There weren't a lot of things out there that were addressing that, midlife woman who's successful and wanting to add that into her life. I mean, for me, I felt pretty confident. I felt like I could do most things, and yet why wasn't this happening? So it was really all of the things that I discovered around that did lead me to meeting my amazing partner. And as I shared it, so many other people were having results too, that then I found myself in this space of being able to help people all over the world get past their barriers and find the love that they've always wanted.
That sounds incredible. And one of the things that I'm gonna ask is that one. There's a lot of us, and I went through the same situation because I went through a divorce. I was a single mom. I raised my children, and there was always that little voice. I don't need a man. I can do it on my own. I think you and I grew up in that generation of women wanting to break free from those bonds, because back then having a husband or having a partner man, you had to do what they told you, or you had to be kind of subdued to them. So we grew up in that generation of, I don't want that. I want to be free and do whatever the heck I want, and I don't want anybody telling me what to do. And that was my belief, right? But there was also that very deep desire in your heart to have a partner.
Yes.
And I think it's a situation of a lot of women still, and I think it's okay to say that we need a partner, that we want to have a partner in lives.
I do too. I think it's totally okay. And it's exactly the sort of the fear of the other, which the stories I was hearing in my head were, oh, if it hasn't just happened, then there must be something wrong with you. It's just supposed to happen. And there I was in my 40s looking around at all my dear friends who were married, who had great relationships, who had started families. And to me, I made up this story that it was so easy for them. And so I must be flawed or maybe even unlovable.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how much that was running in me. And what I knew was that, I did want to have love, but I just didn't know how to get there. And kind of to your point too, with, this, the mentality we had of, oh, I'll have to do whatever, I will have to give up my dreams. It's almost like, okay, I'll have to give up my dream of being um, a big influence in the world. And I always had creative dreams. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be all these things. And to think, okay, how much did I equate having a love relationship with losing all that?
Mhm.
And so, of course, my body and my being would do anything to kind of keep me from it, to keep me distracted from that, because nobody wants to lose their dreams. So, what I know from doing this work is that it's not just a linear thing, that we are creating these conscious, loving relationships in whatever way we want to do it. I mean, I have a relationship where I believe in co creating, and the ideas of what I had witnessed from relationships growing up and magazines and the Brady Bunch and all of these crazy things that were influencing our beliefs around relationship, that it's different. It's something you get to create. And that's the part that I like sharing with my clients, is that there are infinite numbers of ways that we get to be in relationship, and it's yours to decide.
Right. And something that I love, one of the teachings that you share is how this is not, having a great relationship, having a great partner is not something that just happens to you, but that you work on. Can you share about it?
Yeah, I mean, most people have decided that, oh, it's if it's meant to be, it'll just happen. I hear this all the time. I mean, just even the other day, someone came to me just sort of almost like heartbroken with despair about, I would love to have a person, but it was this passive feeling of, well, if it's in God's will, it'll happen. And it was just um frustrating for me, because what I do know is that in any area of my life that I've created success, and asking any of my friends about their amazing career journeys or love stories, that there was a conscious decision to choose it, to learn how to get there, building businesses, developing careers, buying homes, developing your financial future, all require planning and learning and experts to facilitate that. But somehow we've gotten to this place in the relationship space where we're supposed to just throw spaghetti against the wall and hope something sticks. And what usually sticks are the bad relationships and the wrong relationships because we're not being in a conscious creation.
Mm. So, what are the tips that you can share for single women or men, even men, looking for partners? What proactive steps can we take?
Yeah, that's so great. Because the first one I would say for anyone, if you have that desire for love, honor it. I mean, that's basically make the decision that you are going to show up for your heart. The desire is not asking you a question of, okay, now think about, can I have this or not? The desire is absolutely, you can have it. And it's up to you to honor that and choose it and say, yes, I'm having that. So that's the first step. Yes, I'm having that. If you have the desire, honor it, say yes to it. The second step is to really begin that relationship with yourself in a way that you're clear about what you value. What are those things that you naturally love to do? How does that influence your life? And if you value something, and do a quality check. So if you value something like, oh, I value humor, I value having a sense of humor, which I do. And am I living that? And I catch myself a lot where I get really serious and like, or grumpy and in that mode. And so it's like a good opportunity for me to go, oh, okay, well, I value having a sense of humor. What fun things can I do to add that into my life? So really getting clear on who you are. It's really the self-awareness. And then, the third piece I would say is, well, there's kind of a couple more, but then living your life in love. So, the journey to your love story is equally as important. So how you're choosing to live your life in love now is the energy and the quality of what you will attract. So how are you engaging with, how are you in relationship with your true desires? How are you showing up with yourself? Are you letting the inner critics beat yourself up and make up sad stories if you go on a bad date as like, oh, or are you like, hey, you know what, we got this, and being on board, and then letting go of the idea that if you need help finding love, that there's something wrong with you. I mean, that's just absurd because it, the benefit of having a mentor or expert support guiding you along the way means that you save time, you stay out of the habitual pitfalls that you may have practiced for 50 years or longer, and then you get to love faster.
This is exciting. I think having a love coach must be fascinating and enlightening as well, because a lot of us have all this belief um, that need to be adjusted. And I can share with you, I think for in my case, it was something that I'm conscious that happened when I met my partner. And it was, I really wanted to be alone because I was, at that moment in time, I was so happy with myself that I didn't want anyone else to ruin that. And
Yeah.
I was really happy. And it just, I met Alan through work and doing what I love to do, which I think is also a key, right? It has something to do with that, following your path.
Yeah, that's a shared value. I mean, you were living your life the way in love, and that makes sense that you cross paths. So I've been telling people that even in this time where everything is moved online, that yeah, there are a zillion online dating sites and apps and tools that you can play with, but there's also other things. There's a million networking things. There's a million special interests. There's art communities. There's all these groups and communities growing online that aren't even specific to dating that you can also play in.
Right. is it okay? Is it okay? For example, I'm an artist. I don't wanna meet another artist. I'm just giving an example here since I'm with the expert. And I want to meet a person in a specific industry or field, is it okay to then look to network in that industry or those networks to see if maybe I meet someone that way? Would that be okay, or is just too calculated?
I know, I think it's just following the energy for you. Like, does that seem fun? Do you want to play in that space? Is
Mm,
there something calling your attention? And then playing there and trying it out and seeing what it creates. You always get to choose again. You can be a part of something and go, you know what, this just isn't aligned with me, so I'm out. So it's not really, there's no hard and fast rules in my world. I mean,
mhm,
I'm probably the anomaly in the love and dating expert field because I'm not going to be just dishing out general rules for people. The only rule is that you show up for you. I mean, it's your love story. It's you with you that becomes reflected in what you attract in the love relationship. So there's a lot out there. And so talking to anyone who's in the single audience right now, I would say be aware, really be aware, because there's going to be experts out there that are speaking to a different person than you.
mm,
So there are experts out there that are speaking to the person that doesn't really want to necessarily go deep. Someone who is feeding off of having external things that form their life. So if you have a list of rules and you're following those and sacrificing yourself as a result, then you're going to probably will land in a relationship, but it may not be what we're talking about today. What I'm inviting for people is something extraordinary, something that is more, conscious and has that soulful, connected power couple feel, like
mm.
how I see you and Ellen. I love that you're really creating your life together. And I know that there's a lot of people now that, as we kind of evolve spiritually, they're really, aware and waking up to how important it is to have someone that can be there with you.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we've gone through last year, which was a year totally different from any other. Do you see any difference? Of course, there's a difference. There's gotta be, but what dynamic do you see changing before and after this pandemic when it comes to love stories?
Well, I think it's amazing actually. I was when the pandemic first hit, I thought, "Oh no, nobody's going to date. What's my business going to be? How can I help people?" But what I saw very quickly was that it was, especially for the women that I speak to the most, which are those over 40 women that have been asking for something a little slower. So people, one, are waking up to what matters the most, which is loving relationship, because there's not a million other distractions, events, happy hours, concerts, that for those people who were pretty much in all the things and not even aware that maybe they wanted a person and now are more isolated, there's definitely an awareness for love and the kindness and slowness that is happening when you're actually forced to take more time to get to know each other rather than jump in the sack and get all emotionally entangled and then not be able to really see what's there anymore. So those are the big things that I see. The other thing that's kind of interesting data wise is that there's a huge percentage increase in people who are willing to date outside of their local area. So whereas before people were looking, oh, I want someone right in my town. Now people are thinking, well, may as well meet people. And I've seen some love stories come out of that, where it's just taking time and having those conversations at a certain point. I was like, okay, do we feel safe visiting each other, and really going from there. So there's some really cool things happening.
Love's in the airwaves.
It is. It's so great. It's so great. Honestly, I've had more engagements in the last 6 months than I had in my whole business, because people are just more focused on, you know what? I have the space in my heart, like I don't want to be alone, and really putting their foot down and saying, I'm having this.
And I think also priorities, right? Because probably a lot of us were super busy with business, running around, and suddenly we have this virus coming and, killing so many. It puts us face to face with mortality and how fast life goes by and how much we want love in our lives. So I think that a lot of people woke up to that awareness.
I think that's huge. And I'm glad you said that, because literally when you're seeing, and everybody knows somebody who's died recently, and to recognize that is definitely huge. And I'm curious to know for you, I mean, I know you've had your gallery and you've done so many things and so much travel. What was it like for you to have a person during this time when you're staying home more?
Well, it was an incredible support. Less because we work together and we haven't killed each other yet. But we always work together, since we met working and we
Yeah,
continue working and then we got married and continue with our company that we created together. So that I think that's an incredible blessing in itself, and empower one another. I always keep that in mind, especially because Alan is always behind the camera. He's not there face to face, but he's doing as much as I'm doing. So that I keep in mind that I have to empower him and make sure that he feels that recognition that I'm getting from everywhere, from the artists, from the public. I want him to feel it as well. But working this not working together but being shut down, we were not able to go anywhere, and
yeah,
we were not able to breathe. What we made sure is that we have our own space in the house. So I love my alone time, and that I crave a lot. And I live with him, and I live with my daughter and granddaughter now, because coincidentally, before everything happened, we moved together a month prior to that. So you can imagine. Um, but we have our own space. And I think
yeah,
that's important. And not just now during the pandemic, but I think it's always important that each person has their own space, not just physical space, but your space, your passion, whatever it is that where you can retreat, because that's my strength really. I feel like whenever everything goes up and down, and somebody doesn't like something or is not feeling 100% great, I can always retreat to my space, to my painting, to my creation, my
yeah,
meditation, my music, whatever it is that I can tap into that day. And it's like replenishing your spirit, and then go back out and interact again in a
yeah.
better state of mind.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely a balance of, I like the creation. I tell people that, when they're dating, it's like, really having a lot of creations, whether it's meeting a lot of different people, but keeping in that space that really nourishes you is part of how we, really have that level of love with ourselves and the self-care that's required. And just, noticing that for those who are out there feeling isolated and lonely, like it's a real thing because we are designed to connect. We do actually need other people. And for me, I grew up thinking, oh, you don't want to ever look needy or look like you're desperate or something. And it's not that. This is about actually connecting with people
I
and being
actually
okay with that.
I hate that word. I hate the word needy because
Yes.
if you have a need, it's real,
Yeah.
right? It is real. So it's okay to need. Why we need love, even if we need to love ourselves as much as we need to love others and receive that love, and it's okay. That's a word that I don't like to hear, and I heard a lot uh, in my younger generation.
Yeah. I think the key is the energy behind it because when you're coming from a place of, I need this person to text me back, I need this person to
Mhm.
text me back, then there's like a fear, there's a
Right.
worry that you're not going to be okay.
Hmm.
And actually, you are going to be okay. And that's where it gets kind of misconstrued. And one of my favorite quotes from one of my yoga teachers, and I can't say her name very well, so I'm not going to bother. But anyway, it's not my quote. She says, if you think that there's something missing, it's probably you. So it's still coming back to you. And I love it that because it works with everything. Like if you have a complaint, oh, they're not writing me, I'm not getting response online. Whatever the complaint is revealing, guess what? A need. And that need is something that you can address for yourself. And my
Wow.
dog keeps coughing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's
Um,
okay. It's
but
okay.
yeah, that's like, what is the complaint? What is it that you're thinking you need from outside of you? And then taking care of that for you.
That's a good tip. That's a good.
And, or, and it may be asking for someone. It may be saying, hey, I don't know what to do. Can we jump on a call? Or I'm feeling lonely. Can we go for a walk? Like something.
Right. That's awesome, and I think it's good to remember that we also have friends. We also have a support system to reach out to in our own practice.
And if
That's
you don't,
no one,
create one.
yeah, no one is going to replace that joy or that completeness that you feel when you're connecting to your inner being. No one outside
Yeah,
of yourself.
exactly. So I really think that it's just really getting to a place where we are honoring truly ourselves and getting out of anything that feels like it's becoming a weapon against us, because the idea of, oh, if you're needy or if you look desperate, you, that's really bad. And it's just, okay, well, what actually is it? What is it that's happening within you that's creating this misunderstanding that draws us to that kind of graspy feeling when, you know, there's something else here. It's avoiding what is here.
Wow. Well, we're coming to the end of our interview, and I want to thank you for this incredible moment. There's so much more that we can learn from you. So, where can we go? How can we get a hold of you? And if anybody wants to work with you as a love coach, what do they need to do?
Well, you can go to my website, bighappylove.com. And on there, you'll be able to see ways to connect with me. I have a Facebook group. I've been doing different groups on Clubhouse now, and and I have a free gift. I have a lot of different ways. And then if you know, hey, I would love to get expert support to go from single to a committed relationship, then let's have a conversation, because that would be a different process. And I love working with, women who are driven and love doing personal development and really do want to share their life with someone. And why waste any more time winging it? This is an opportunity to change that.
Awesome. All righty, Macy. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody
Thank
for
you.
being present, and let's put into practice Macy's wisdom and find our big happy love.
Yes.
Thank you.